Am I the a-hole for siding with my boyfriend when my sister and brother-in-law tried to take over my business? My sister and I had a falling out, and my boyfriend and I want to know if we should apologize or just move on. I've been running a business for quite a few years now. It was small, but I never really tried to make it anything big. I was content just getting by and doing something I enjoyed. Eventually, I started dating someone who had the time, energy, and resources to help me grow. He rebranded my business, and it grew. It was fun, and eventually, I got my partner more involved. He went to a trade show with me, and we got an idea together to grow the business more. My boyfriend had a great idea to include my sister and her spouse because we thought it would benefit them financially and bring us closer together. Big mistake. Even though my boyfriend and I each invested about 50% into the expansion, and my sister and her stay-at-home husband invested nothing, it wasn't long before they started telling everyone it was their business. I would talk to people who would tell me they talked to the owners, which was funny to me because it was actually my boyfriend and me who risked everything financially to purchase the expansion and grow it. We just invited them to come along for free, and we even gave my brother-in-law a job because he had been unemployed for years. It went downhill from there. My boyfriend and I aren't big on attention, so we didn't really care that people thought my sister and brother-in-law owned the business, but then they started giving their friends huge discounts, sometimes free, and doing it without our consent. On top of all that, my boyfriend and I found out that my dad, who handled accounting, was paying my brother-in-law double what we discussed for working at our company, all without our knowledge. Meanwhile, my boyfriend declined to take a salary for all of the work he was doing for what was now our business, even after he had invested his own personal money into it. I got upset and tried talking to my sister, and my boyfriend tried talking to my brother-in-law, but things quickly fell apart. My brother-in-law started telling my boyfriend he wasn't going to do parts of the job, so my boyfriend and I took on all the work while brother-in-law was making double salary and my boyfriend was taking nothing. I didn't even increase my own salary while we were trying to grow. We realized maybe inviting them to join us was a mistake, but we truly had the best of intentions. We tried to find ways to talk to them, but they got passive-aggressive. Recently, my boyfriend finally told brother-in-law to go F yourself. Anyway, he said that he would, and now they're no longer working for us. My parents have sided with my sister and brother-in-law, but they haven't heard our side. This whole situation hurts because my sister has always been my best friend, but I can't figure out what we did wrong. We've asked, but at this point, they're only rallying the troops against us. I've tried talking to my sister, who won't respond. I want to protect my partner, and I think he was justified after dealing with my brother-in-law's bad attitude for weeks. If we did something wrong, I want to apologize. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Please immediately remove your father's access to your business and accounting and hire a new CPA to review everything. The fact your father took it upon himself to dispense out money without your direct approval as the boss indicates he might have done other things that were not only inappropriate, but may have been done so at a cost to you and your partner. I would encourage you to contact legal counsel at this point to clarify what has happened and what liabilities you've opened yourself up to. If there is anything that occurred with your dad's accounting, then your lawyer can probably provide an idea of what next steps would be appropriate. This sounds horrible, and another reason so many say to never mix business and family. Get your priorities straight. Don't worry about siding with your boyfriend. That's the wrong question. Worry about the fact your sister and brother-in-law screwed you and boyfriend. Why didn't you do anything when your dad paid brother-in-law double salary? That's throwing away your own money and security. Stop being a doormat and protect yourself and your boyfriend. We got a new accountant. It seems like I'm being blamed for destroying the family now because no one is talking. I tried to reach out, but I really didn't feel like we did anything wrong. It's just hard to know. I didn't know if maybe we missed something. The only thing you did wrong was let your sister, brother-in-law, and your father walk all over you for too long. You and your boyfriend enabled their behavior because you're good people who love each other and your work. In a sense, that's really sweet. But in another sense, you opened yourself up to be exploited. Your boyfriend telling brother-in-law to go F himself wasn't doing something wrong. It was him finally doing what needed to be done for what sounds like a long time. You're lucky to be rid of them. If your sister was truly your BFF, she wouldn't have rallied with brother-in-law and your dad to exploit you for cash and credibility. I'm sorry this happened, but your own family used you and your business to inflate themselves at your expense. But now, keep your chin up, be proud of what you've built, and be proud of yourself and your boyfriend for standing up for yourselves and refusing to be taken advantage of any longer. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not offering my inherited apartment to my cousin, even though she's struggling financially? My grandmother passed away last year and left me her 2-bedroom apartment on the Upper East Side. Some people in the family were surprised, but I wasn't. My cousin's side had been estranged for years, and I was the one who stayed close and helped her as she got older. I've been slowly renovating the place to use occasionally when I'm in town. A few weeks ago, my cousin reached out asking if she could live there for a while. She works in a low-paying field and says she's barely affording rent. I told her no. Honestly, I don't think it would be temporary. She's bounced around apartments for years, and I don't want to be stuck in a long-term situation I never signed up for, especially with family. I also just don't want her living in a space my grandmother left specifically to me. She was furious, said I don't even need the place, and my aunt called crying, saying I was punishing her daughter for old family drama. I offered to help her with a deposit elsewhere, but that apparently wasn't enough. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She can live with your aunt if she's struggling that much. That she got that mad speaks volumes. She expected a free place to live because family. Agreed. Squatters' rights anyone? And in New York, it will take years to evict her. Isn't it better to go back to her mother's house until she gets her finances together? If the shoe were on the other foot, this same cousin and aunt will be the last ones to remember family, shaking my head. The cousin's reaction is all you need. She's unwilling to change anything about her life or her situation. It's just all OP's fault for not helping. With New York's rental and tenant laws, I can't even imagine the jungle hellscape OP would have to machete through to evict her cousin. Don't do it. New York City laws make it that you'll never be able to get rid of her without spending thousands in legal fees. If you let her move in, she will change the locks and challenge you for the ownership. Do not do this. Yep, just rewatched Worst Roommate Ever on Netflix for some light nightmare fuel. The so-called right squatters are nuts. She probably needs to go further and have the locks changed, in case anyone on that side can get a hold of an old key. If OP isn't there regularly, they might walk into a squatter situation with dear old cousin. Get a ring cam or something like that too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for rejecting my brother and telling him he doesn't get what he wants because he's the youngest? I, 21 male, had a messed up family as a kid and was made homeless when I was 16 by my mother, and I only call her that because she biologically is. There's other background to start with. My mother had my half-sister when she was 18, and she was raised by our grandparents. Then my mother married our father and had me and my brother, 19 male. Our father was abusive and left when I was 5. My brother could never remember him, but I could never forget. And the night he left is still a nightmare I have sometimes. Our mother drank a lot, and she hated me. So did our grandparents and my half-sister. They all adored my brother though, and even though his behavior was worse, they twisted it to make it all my fault when he acted out. He broke a window? Somehow they just knew I really put him up to it or made him do it. He went crazy on sugar and broke garden furniture. Even if I wasn't there, it was because I should have been watching him. That was just the way things were. Everyone knew our mother drank but did nothing to help. They knew when she started physically abusing me, and they said it was because I was such a little demon like my father. I was told all the time I was my father's son. My half-sister would say she wished my father had unalived me and stuff like that. She told me we weren't brother and sister, and she didn't want to be my aunt either. She called our grandparents her parents because they basically were, but my brother was her little brother and she was so nice to him. My brother would act super sweet to spend time with me, and then when he'd do something wrong, he started saying it was my fault because he knew nobody would believe me. He'd tell me boys weren't supposed to cry after our mother had abused me, and I was being a baby. Then he'd come to me when our mother was really drunk and expected me to keep him safe. But he'd turn around and say I didn't get him up for school and stuff like that when he slept in my room. I tried talking to my brother about how everyone already hated me and how him blaming me for stuff he did was only making it worse. I even told him I was being abused. He'd answer with stuff like, "They would never believe I did something wrong," or "They already hated you, so why make them hate us both?" Or the worst one, "I don't need to make it, me being abused, his problem." Before I was kicked out, my grandparents had my brother sleep over for like 5 to 6 nights when our mother went away. They didn't want me to come too, so I was left in the house on my own until my mother got back. They called the cops on me twice, why I never found out, but they said they were just checking in and left pretty fast. Once our mother got back, she was mad that I hadn't gone to restock our food supplies. That night, she beat the crap out of me, and the next morning she kicked me out because my brother was hungry and we still had no food. I went to my grandparents and to my half-sister, but they didn't want me, so I stayed homeless for months. When my aunt and uncle, mother's sister and brother-in-law found out, they came and found me and took me to live with them. They helped me with school and helped me get into college. I stay with them for summer and winter break every year, and it's nice to have people around who don't hate me for existing. My brother reached out to me 3 weeks ago, which was right after my birthday. He acted like we hadn't talked in a week, and he said he wanted to come and see me. I told him I didn't want to see him, and he pushed back and said he really wanted to, that he missed me, and that we're brothers, and I'm older so I can't reject him like that. He said it's not how older siblings treat younger siblings. I told him that nonsense doesn't fly with me, and I hadn't missed him, and this was exactly why. I said he needs to grow up and get over his spoiled little brat attitude because I was done being there for him. He got mad, I think, not sure because tone is sometimes hard to pick up via written word, and told me I don't get to blame him for things, and that he deserves to have a relationship with his sibling. I told him to find our half-sister since she adored him so much. Then I blocked him. It started a crap show, and my aunt and uncle are getting grief from my grandparents because I rejected him. My aunt and uncle had them blocked, but I guess my grandparents have new numbers. They say I'm still my father's little demon like I always was. My aunt told me not to stress, and that she won't let them do this to me. But I feel bad they have to deal with the consequences of what I said. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, and stay away from those monsters for good. I wish I could give you the biggest hug. I'm so sorry this happened to you. You didn't deserve any of it. You should be incredibly proud of yourself for thriving in spite of the horrendous amounts of abuse you've been through. You're an incredibly resilient and smart young man. I hope you have a wonderful life ahead. I'm staying away. There's nothing that could make me go back to where I'm despised and abused. And it's excused because another abusive person, who hasn't been in my life since I was 5, was my father. Thank you. I hope so. I'd like my life to keep getting better and to one day give a family of my own better than I ever had. Not the a-hole. No one is entitled to a damn thing, and your little brother just got the first taste of consequences for his actions. You are fine. Keep doing what you're doing and don't worry about any of those abusive a-holes. With him being 19 now, I feel like he's going to get more experiences in that. Maybe that'll save him from turning into one of our parents. Last story. My stepsister is frustrated my family members did not give her the same attention during her pregnancy and is now trying to convince everybody I am mentally unstable. Am I the a-hole for my reaction? I am 30 female, 7 months pregnant with my first child. My stepsister Dana is 34 female and her daughter is now 1. My dad married her mother when we were young, 8 and 12, but we were never close. My paternal side of the family also made it clear from the beginning that I am their only grandchild or niece from my father. So while they were nice to Dana growing up, they never really saw her as an additional granddaughter or niece or anything. Everybody was nice to Dana while she was pregnant. We congratulated her, brought gifts for her baby, attended her baby shower. and assumed everything was okay. But ever since I got pregnant, she has been acting crazy, and I honestly have had enough of her nonsense. She is obsessed with my weight and is trying to convince everyone in our family that I am mentally unwell, that I'm following diets and starving myself, so I don't gain too much weight, and that I'm putting my son in danger. I am not. Up until now, at 7 months pregnant, I have gained 7 kilograms, 15 pounds, and my doctor is very happy with my health and how the baby is growing. My son is healthy and has the perfect weight for his age. The doctor said he is not too big, not too small, just perfect. There are no concerns about his development or my health. I am also not dieting. I eat every time I'm hungry, but I'm careful with what I eat and when I eat certain foods. As an example, I won't have cake for breakfast or late at night because we all know it spikes your sugar levels, but I will have cake after lunch. I tested negative for toxoplasmosis, so I only eat really well-done meat, no raw fish, and I make sure to wash all fruits and vegetables really well before eating. Little things like that. Dana's comments have been bothering me for a very long time. I told her to stop. I explained over and over again what I've written above, and ultimately, I started ignoring her. But the thing is, I'm done. Last weekend, we celebrated my grandfather, and apparently I once again proved to her that I'm starving myself because I didn't have some tuna spread. My grandmother loves to cook, and most of the time she makes things from scratch. I love her tuna spread, but I know how she prepares it, with canned tuna and homemade mayo, meaning raw egg. So as much as I love her spread, I can't have it right now because it's not recommended to eat tuna or raw eggs while pregnant. Again, Dana started telling our family things like, see, she used to love the spread and now won't have it because she doesn't want to get fat. She needs mental help immediately. I got up with my husband and told my family that I'm sorry, but I'm done. I deserve peace and to enjoy time with my family, and the only person who needs help is Dana. My family asked me to stay and kicked her out with her husband and daughter, telling her that for the rest of my pregnancy, she will not be invited to gatherings. My stepmom is now bothering me to forgive Dana so that she is not excluded from family gatherings, making it seem like it's my fault my family doesn't want her there. I told her she could have used this energy to make her daughter behave before she had to face the consequences of her stupidity, and if she keeps bothering me, maybe she won't be welcome at family gatherings either. So, am I the a-hole in this? Did she perhaps gain a lot of weight in her pregnancy? To me, it sounds like she's jealous because you aren't experiencing the weight gain she did. Yes, she did. And she also didn't follow the general dietary restrictions for pregnant women like no raw food. Sounds like you've been more than gracious in dealing with her behavior. When she said the thing about the tuna spread, I would have called it right out. You were just pregnant, so you know that eating raw egg, such as what in this spread, isn't advised. So either you're stupid or going out of your way to make me look bad for no reason. Which is it? Not the a-hole. Thank you. She did not follow diet instructions while pregnant. She had sushi, medium raw steak, and probably many other things that technically are not allowed, so I am not sure she cares much about raw eggs. Update. Brother-in-law's fiancé claims my family never RSVP'd, but I'm the only one without a seat. Original post. This is a throwaway because I'm not quite ready for all of my husband's family to get involved, I think. I'm still reeling and trying to process this, so bear with me. So my brother-in-law is getting married soon. My husband is the best man, and our 4-year-old is the ring bearer. I'm a part-time party planner, so I've been helping plan a small luncheon for the bridal party, immediate family, and a few vendors on the wedding day. So I'm not exactly a fringe guest here. The RSVP deadline was a few weeks ago. I filled out the online form and submitted it the same day the invitation came in the mail, with my husband sitting right next to me. We RSVP'd for the 3 of us, me, my husband, and our son. Easy peasy, right? Well, brother-in-law's fiancé reached out today over text saying we never RSVP'd. Not, hey, I never saw your RSVP, just checking, but straight up, you didn't respond, which is frustrating on its own. But then she tells us that while my husband and son have seats at the reception, as they were part of her original headcount, I do not. My husband was told I could come early with him to set up the luncheon and stay for the ceremony, but that I would not have a spot at the reception. Let me repeat that. I'm married to the best man, mother of the ring bearer, and helping with wedding day logistics, including connecting sister-in-law with some of my professional contacts. And she somehow decided I just wouldn't be coming, and she never followed up before the RSVP deadline? Just what? I'm torn between feeling hurt, furious, and just flabbergasted. And used. I definitely feel used. At best, this was a sloppy mistake that she's not owning. At worst, it feels like a pointed exclusion, and I'm not sure which stings more. My husband is going to handle the conversation with his brother to figure out what is going on, because I genuinely don't trust myself to be polite and keep the peace. There was no other drama leading up to this that I was aware of. I have a good relationship with my in-laws. So yeah, this is totally out of left field for me and my husband. I would love to hear thoughts, especially from people who have gone through something similar. I don't typically touch weddings with work, so this is all new territory for me as a pseudo-vendor/guest. My husband wants to reach out and talk to his brother first, but I'm so tempted to reach out to my mother-in-law before our usual meetup tomorrow to see if she knows anything. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. You are smart to wait and let Hubs talk to his brother. I'm flabbergasted also. That is freaking nuts. And this is coming from someone who is totally laid back and not someone who usually takes things personally. Just try to take your mind off it and see what Hubs reports. Go from there. I'm usually pretty laid back too. I haven't seen the texts yet by Hubs, called on his lunch break when he saw them, and I have not heard him this angry in a long time. I'm trying to give sister-in-law the benefit of the doubt, but this feels very personal and intentional. Sounds like your son now has other things to do that weekend, and your luncheon should get accidentally canceled. Cancel the luncheon. If you are not welcome at the wedding, there is no need for you to be free labor. I think I'm going to do this no matter what the outcome is. It puts mother-in-law and father-in-law in a bit of a lurch since they're handling the food costs, but I don't know. I know I'm biased because I'm in the middle of it, but I feel like there should be some consequences. Definitely step back. Don't do anything for free. She deserves full consequences for this. Let your husband handle the communication. If your brother-in-law doesn't get it corrected, your husband gets to make his own choice to attend or not. When his wife is being purposefully excluded and your son stays home with you, this is completely unacceptable on your soon-to-be sister-in-law's part. It's actually disgusting that she clarified that you'd still be welcome to set up but not stay. Now for some mini updates. Small update. Husband and brother-in-law are talking now. Brother-in-law wasn't working today and was helping father-in-law with something this evening. When I called mother-in-law, she had brother-in-law call my husband right away. From what mother-in-law and I can hear, we're Snoopy. My husband was muted on brother-in-law's phone, and my contact was deleted. Brother-in-law can't even log into the wedding website, so he can't check to see if our RSVP was there. I'm not sure if I want to become a firecracker myself or get some popcorn as I watch mother-in-law pop off. Mini update 2. Okay, here's the last update for the night. I am tired and a bit overwhelmed by all of your responses. I'm sorry I haven't replied to them all, but I have read most of them. Again, thank you for your advice and just general support during this really weird and upsetting time. Too long didn't read. Brother-in-law didn't know, and now the wedding is up in the air. He's currently staying with mother-in-law and father-in-law to have some space from his fiancée. So, my husband finally got a hold of brother-in-law after I called mother-in-law. No one else knew this was going on. While they were talking, brother-in-law tried logging into their wedding website to see if this was a mistake or misunderstanding, but couldn't log in. So he texted sister-in-law to see if she changed the password, and she just told him to come home instead. This set off 3 things. 1. Brother-in-law ended the call with my husband to call sister-in-law about why she couldn't answer a simple question. 2. Mother-in-law popped off about how dare that woman exclude OP. 3. Mother-in-law and father-in-law popped off on brother-in-law for already living with sister-in-law. They are very religious and traditional, and don't believe that a couple should live together before marriage. My husband and I sympathize with brother-in-law. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law argued over the phone. Apparently, she started claiming that it was an unfortunate glitch and that it was too late to add another seat now. Then it was that we never jived, and would it really be so bad if I went home early? Plus, I could take our son home with me because he would be tired by then, at 5 p.m. This woman does not know kids, I swear. Then it was that I've always been mean and excluded her from things, even though she's never invited me to any of the girly wedding events. At this point, my husband and I are glued to my phone as we're hearing yelling from all four of them until his sister-in-law hangs up. Brother-in-law is spending the night at his parents' and is unsure about the wedding now. He plans on going home tomorrow with my husband going with him for moral support. I'll be going with hubby to my in-laws to hang out until we hear back about the situation at the battlefront. Sorry, one more teeny 1 a.m. update. Husband is asleep. I should be too, but I'm still reeling and mad. I thought to take a screenshot of the message she sent my husband for future proof, and it's gone. She used Facebook Messenger to text my husband, and it says her texts are deleted. Now for the full update. So, hi. To preface, I did not expect my post to blow up the way it did. Several commenters mentioned it just popped up in their recommended, and holy jeez, it got way bigger than I could have ever imagined. So, thank you, I think. It's super overwhelming on top of the real-life soap opera I'm living through this weekend. Just to clarify something from the original post, I did not plan everything for the wedding. I offered to bring food for a small luncheon between photos, 10 a.m., and the ceremony, 4 p.m., as dinner wasn't planned until 6 p.m. It was going to be a long day at a farm in the middle of nowhere. I offered to do it to be nice, but also to make sure no one, specifically a certain 4-year-old, would be hangry for the ceremony. Sister-in-law also only used one of my vendor contacts, so with things going south, my professional reputation shouldn't really be impacted. Now the update. Turns out, the no seat for OP issue was the problem that broke brother-in-law's relationship. And we're a bit upset brother-in-law didn't talk to anyone about this until it blew up. Behind the scenes, brother-in-law and sister-in-law were having arguments about their future together. Most of these arguments centered around having kids. Early on, sister-in-law gave the impression that she wanted children someday. But as they got more serious, she started backtracking. A few months ago, brother-in-law realized that it's very likely sister-in-law never wanted kids, but felt too invested in the relationship to leave. But brother-in-law always imagined having a large family, so this really shook him. On top of that, sister-in-law apparently had jealousy and insecurity issues. Per brother-in-law, I've been her latest target, which started when I turned down going to a mani-pedi with her. Why did I turn her down? Husband and son had rotavirus. Apparently, I was icing her out by not wanting to spread gastrointestinal doom. Can anyone please explain this logic to us? Lastly, sister-in-law was apparently already floating the idea of disinviting our son from the reception because he would have been the only small child there. Brother-in-law shut that down immediately, and mother-in-law/father-in-law kept that knowledge from us to spare our feelings. Ergo, our lost RSVP was not a software glitch, nor was it an oversight, but a rather stupidly calculated move. Sister-in-law was apparently hoping one of two things would happen. Either I would make a scene about being disinvited and be seen as the problem, or we would quietly accept our fate, and she would not have to deal with two undesirables at her reception. With all of this in mind, I can't figure out why she would have messaged my husband instead of me. Was she trying to cause more family drama? Again, the logic is not logicking. Brother-in-law was already feeling some uncertainty because of the shifting kids or no kids conversation, but the deliberate seating stunt gave him the last push and clarity he needed. Brother-in-law told my husband it was a level of manipulation and cruelty that he could not overlook. So he ended things and asked for the ring back. No wedding, no reception, just a super messy, emotionally heavy, and expensive breakup. And I feel so bad for brother-in-law. He's going through so much heartache right now, but he deserves better in a partner. Hopefully, the ex-fiancé can find a family dynamic that doesn't feel like a never-ending battlefield. That's all for now. I'm still tired. I'm still flabbergasted, but I'm also relieved this wedding arc is coming to an end. Your not sister-in-law is an idiot. You'll hear no arguments from us. Children versus choosing to be child-free is one of those things that should be agreed upon well before you get to a wedding stage, and is a deal breaker if you don't agree. There should never be lies about that. It will only ever lead to heartache. Totally agree with this. My husband and I were always on the same page about having a lot of kids. Unfortunately, life happens, and we'll only have one bio child. But if the universe opens up the opportunity to adopt in the future, we are open to it. Aw, poor brother-in-law. Expensive heartache, but glad he is out before an expensive divorce. He will find somebody for him. Take some rest, y'all. I know he will find someone that will be perfect for him. I'm still annoyed with him, though. He was lamenting being old and alone at dinner. And I was like, honey, you're the baby of the family. Have some more fries and shut up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for putting my pre-marriage house in trust so my children get it if something happens to me? I am 28, female, and recently married. My husband's parents have lots of property, but most of it is in their names and in trusts, so it won't be counted as his marital asset, including the house we live in. And if something happens to their son, it will go to his children only, which is fine. We don't have many joint assets, as we are recently married. I also inherited a house from my grandmother, and it is premarital property. It's in a prime location, and many businesses have offered me a buyout, but I refused. I moved that house into a trust, stating that irrespective of marriage or anything else, my future children will have equal access to that house, and it will be theirs in case something happens to me. I also plan to make it a rental property, considering I get a huge amount per room for wholesale shops that need space to store their materials. The rent will be so high that I won't need to work at all, though I still plan to work and save all the rental income. My husband is not happy and complained to his mom and dad, who tried to question me. I felt it was hypocritical, and I told them I respect and understand their choice of keeping premarital properties in a trust. This is my property, also premarital, so I did the same. They said it's not the same, and that I'm part of the family, and their son's properties would be accessible to me. I called out their BS and said only joint assets, which we will buy post-marriage, will have the same access for both of us. I also want to keep my children safe and secure in case something happens to me. They are angry, and my husband has a puffed-up face, but I refuse to back down. He is sleeping in the other room. Such a man-child. He said it's not the same since it's his parents' properties, but this house is mine and we are partners. I said I will not change the trust conditions. We are sleeping in different rooms now. I feel like an a-hole, but I feel it's fair. Note, in our culture, daughters-in-law are supposed to be provided stability and a safety net, which they didn't offer. So they can't expect me to give away my things to the family too. Now for the comments. The two situations are identical, and you have done nothing that he or they hadn't already done. The thing is, they are clearly approaching this from the point of view that their property is theirs, and that your property should be theirs too, if they can get away with it. Given your choice of the phrase, future children, I am interpreting that as you don't have any right now. If that is the case, run. Run while you still can. I agree. The other thing she needs to find out about is what happens if she does rent it out. Does that income become marital assets? Is there a way to keep that separate? I have no idea what the answer is. She's being really smart, not the a-hole. Your husband complains to his parents when he has an issue with you. This will be your life now. Interesting how what his parents do with their assets is fine, but not when you do it. You made a mistake choosing this guy, not the a-hole. I mean, I choose him because we were together for a decade. During college, when I had chicken pox and no one came near me, he was the friend who helped me those weeks without worrying, and that made me fall in love with him. So I believe we can solve this. Last story. Am I the a-hole for declining my sister's friend request to use my cabin? My name is Rose. I am 38 years old, and I have just one loving sister, although we live in different cities. I have a small cabin out of town that I inherited from my grandparents 3 years ago. It's about 2 hours from our family house. It's very quiet and has a lake nearby. Nothing really luxurious, but a great place to cool off. I do go there often, and I only allow close friends and family to use it if they ask in advance, as long as they use it neatly and treat it with respect. Earlier this week on Tuesday, I received a message on my Facebook from a woman I've met once. The only thing I know about her is that she's my sister's friend. During the course of our interactions, I then learned that she's a nurse. We chatted briefly at a barbecue last year. That was when I met her. She messaged me saying she had just learned about the cabin and wanted to know if it was available for the weekend. I told her no, that I was planning on going up this weekend myself. Her response was sharp, as if she was offended. Oh wow, okay. I just really needed a break. I've been on a tight working schedule for a week, and being a nurse is exhausting. This would have been a perfect reset for me. I figured you'd understand. I said I do understand, and I appreciate her work, but the cabin isn't available this weekend. I was hoping everything would end there, but she flared up. You don't even use it that often, right? I don't get extra money enough to afford places like that. I wouldn't have come to you. I just thought if you weren't selfish, you would offer it as a kindness. I knew where it was all headed. I read and ignored. Later, after some hours had passed, my sister called asking me what happened, saying her friend was really upset and felt like I was being rude and inconsiderate. It turned out that she told my sister I didn't care about her even as a healthcare worker, that I made that fact clear, and that it would have cost me nothing to let her use the cabin for 2 days. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If your sister is so bothered, she can pay for her friend to stay in an Airbnb somewhere. She admits her friend was being dramatic. Now, if your sister asks to use your place, you are going to have to worry that she's asking for her friend. I'd only let people use it if you are going as a group, and the group consists of people you actually know and like. Exactly. Get cameras ASAP if not already installed. Also programmable door locks so you can change them and not have keys floating out there. Not the a-hole. She's an entitled C-word. Seriously, the fact that my sister actually called me got me really mad too. Then I figured she only needed to hear my side of what happened. She's kind of a people pleaser. If one of my friends called or texted me to say my sister is rude to them, I would call my sister as well, but only to check in and hear her side of the story, and then I have to decide if I need to just tell my friend off, or if I would want to go low or even no contact. My sister would do the same, or my other siblings for that matter. I hope your sister is the same. Am I the a-hole for how I responded when my husband asked me to pay for stepson's surgery? I've been with my husband for about 5 years now. He has a son from his previous marriage. Let's call him Ethan, who came to live with us when he was 16. From the very beginning, it was incredibly hard. Ethan was cold and distant with me. He made it very clear that he didn't like me and didn't want me around. In fact, he constantly made rude and hurtful comments, often mocking my age or making fun of my living situation. His remarks weren't just casual. They were mean-spirited and designed to hurt. No matter how much I tried to be kind or give him space, he never softened. It felt like he had made up his mind about me from day one and was determined to make sure I knew I wasn't welcome in his life. Even when his dad, my husband, was going through a rough financial patch, I tried to help out. One specific example was when I offered to help pay for Ethan's college expenses. It wasn't something I felt obligated to do, but rather something I wanted to do. I thought it might show that I cared and wanted to support them both. But when I brought it up, my hub said, "You can't buy your way into being his mom." That really stung. I wasn't trying to take anyone's place or force myself into a role I wasn't invited into. I just wanted to help. But after hearing that, I backed off. I respected their wishes and kept my distance, both emotionally and financially. Fast forward to now, Ethan's been sick for a few months. He was managing with medication for a while, but now his condition has gotten worse and he needs surgery. He reached out to my husband and asked if he could help cover the costs, since it's expensive and urgent. My husband then came to me and asked if I'd be willing to contribute. He framed it as a possible turning point, a chance to finally build a connection with Ethan, or at least start moving in that direction. I didn't hesitate. I simply said no. He seemed surprised and pushed back, saying that maybe this could be the perfect opportunity to start healing old wounds and set things right between Ethan and me. But I looked him in the eye and said, "I can't buy my way into being his mom, can I?" I repeated his own words back to him, and I meant them. He didn't react well. He said I was being petty and cruel for holding on to the past, especially when it involved Ethan's health. He told me that this was bigger than a grudge and that I should be the bigger person. He even went so far as to say he's now reconsidering our marriage because, in his view, I should put my feelings aside and help Ethan no matter what. But I still said no, not because I don't care, not because I want Ethan to suffer, but because I've tried before and I've been rejected, insulted, and made to feel like an outsider over and over again. I know how this looks to him, but from where I'm standing, it feels like I'm finally setting a boundary, and that shouldn't be a deal breaker in a marriage. Now for the top comments. So he wants your money but not your presence? And your husband thinks you're the petty one? Nah, he played himself. Keep your cash. I don't think he meant what he said. I think he's saying it to get me to pay, but I still refused. Someone needs to reconsider this marriage, my dear. It would be you. You're in an abusive relationship with someone who is mooching off of you. Sounds like you're shouldering all the financial responsibility while receiving none of the respect from these relationships. Stand your ground. I'd be reconsidering the marriage and serving papers before her husband, honestly. Dude and his kid are both a-holes. If you want to stay in the marriage, swallow your pride and pain and help. Not because it might make Ethan like you more, but because you'd be helping your husband's son, and you care about your husband. But from what little you describe here, I'm not sure you should want to stay married. It doesn't sound like he respects you very much, and he's not contributing. Are you actually getting anything out of this relationship? OP and her husband don't seem to like each other very much. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex-husband's wife homeschool my children? I, 31 female, share 2 children, 9 male and 8 female, with my ex-husband Aaron, 35 male. Aaron's cheating ended our marriage, and before long he had moved in with Nicole, 34 female, and her children, 11, 10, 8, and 6. Aaron and Nicole have a 2-year-old together, and they're expecting another child. Even before Aaron and Nicole met, she homeschooled her children, while my kids attend public school. This was mentioned as a problem before they were even married, but I ignored it. Now this has come up again, and they are being a thorn in my side about it. Nicole said it is unfair for her children to see mine go to school while hers do not. She told me her kids have become jealous, and it's causing issues for her parenting and for her and Aaron's family. I told her this was not my problem and that she needed to figure out how to manage that. That is the life of blended families. Not everything will be the same or equal for the kids from different marriages. Aaron asked me to homeschool a few times, and I told him I would not entertain the idea. He even asked the kids, who were worried when they came to me about it. They didn't want to leave their friends and teachers, and they didn't want to stay home all day like Nicole's kids. I reassured them I would not be saying yes to homeschooling for them. Now Nicole and Aaron are on a mission to make me agree to let Nicole homeschool my kids alongside hers. Apparently, they have the 2-year-old started in some form of pre-K homeschooling, and they feel it's only fair for my kids to join in too. I said no. I even had my lawyer send their lawyer a letter officially stating my position on this. My lawyer has also documented everything. They asked their lawyer to take this back to court and get a judge to overrule me, but their lawyer told them this would not go in their favor. My ex was so unhappy about it that he told me all of this, and it gave me the chance to document that also. Now they're claiming I don't have a good reason to refuse other than to disrupt their home and to keep Nicole from playing a bigger role in the lives of my children and to prevent sibling bonding between Nicole's kids and mine. I told them I have many reasons to say no, and they just need to accept it. I stopped replying after this, but since school ended for the summer, I have been inundated with pressure from them over this. They are worried that I'll send them to school in September as planned, which will happen. I feel like the kids wanting to go to school should also count, and I told Aaron this before. But am I the a-hole for not being willing to try? Is it really so hard to believe I just want my kids to attend school normally? And if her kids are jealous of the step-siblings going to school, I think there's a simple solution there. Send them all to school. Her kids being jealous of their step-sibs going to school made me laugh. I'd ask Nicole, why are they jealous? Doesn't say much for your homeschooling, does it? I agree with those who say it's all about control. I would also bring out the big legal guns, so not the a-hole. Absolutely not the a-hole. No thanks, AA Ron. I'm going to continue to trust the professionals over your current wife. Her comfort is not my concern. This OP. Honestly, I would go back to court to have in writing that school stays the same and they need to drop it. Or you'll be requesting more parenting time for the kids' mental health, not to be disturbed by the stress this is causing them. Agreed. You also need to have a custody order that you have final say regarding picking up out of school, dropping out of the school, and education-related decisions. That paperwork then needs to be given to your school and your school district. Something tells me that if you go ahead and she homeschools the kids, this is going to become a fight over child support and parenting time. Not the a-hole. You are looking out for your kids. How do you even know this woman is qualified to teach your kids crap? Work with your lawyer to get some sort of cease and desist on this topic, to where they can't keep bringing it up. The good reason to refuse is your kids are doing well academically and socially where they are, and there is no reason to risk changing that. I would be tempted to ask your lawyer if there is any way you can trigger an evaluation of the new wife's kids in terms of their progress at homeschooling. My guess is they are way behind. I know they are behind in some areas because of her stance on them. I doubt she teaches science of any kind, for example. Next story. Am I the a-hole to sell her shoes since she sold my magic collection? I, 23 male, had a collection of magic, the gathering cards that I kept in my storage locker under my bed. My girlfriend, 22 female, recently took my storage locker to a local card shop and sold my whole collection. The shop owner is shady for agreeing to cut my lock off. I got upset with my girlfriend and asked why she sold them. Her response, "You don't play anymore." Between work, school, and her, I don't have the time for any of my hobbies. I told my girlfriend to get out of my apartment and that her selling my stuff was a perfect reason to break up with her. She started crying and began saying hateful things, which I ignored. I locked myself in the bathroom, waiting for her to finally leave. When she did, I gathered all her shoes, this probably makes me an a-hole, and sold them. She found out and went off on me, even punching me. I told her, well, you never wear them. I asked for the extra key to my apartment because I told her we needed to end things, but she refuses to give it back. Am I the a-hole? Also, how does one get the key back? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Not the a-hole, and one invites a locksmith and changes the lock. Do I have to inform the building manager? Only because it's something I find embarrassing. I don't know. I have never rented before and the paperwork I signed doesn't cover X's with spare a key. Why did you not go to the shop that bought the cards and demand them back, as they were stolen from you? If they did not agree, your girlfriend would have to pay them back probably. You could have gone to the police to file charges. This is not a tee-hee, I sold your stuff, now I sold your stuff kind of thing. This is theft. And forget about that key. Have the locks changed. Give your landlord a copy of the new key and you're good. Save the old lock just in case and hand it over to the landlord now or when you move out. I am a stupid kid, I swear. I didn't think about most of this stuff. Great advice from experienced individuals. Nobody really teaches others how to be an adult. I get it. It's not too late to go get your cards though. For all they know, you only just found out. And at any time, you can just walk into any police station and say you have a situation and you would like advice on how to proceed. The fact that you sold her shoes is not the best thing to mention. But I take it the shoes were in your apartment when you took them and not in hers. That counts for something. If your collection was worth something, I'd still try. And that shop is crap for not seeing a problem with cutting off a lock. They had to have known. Normally shops are more careful than that. Change the lock and the passwords for all the streaming services that you pay for. Also, I would highly suggest taking pictures of all of her items that she has in your apartment before she moves them out. She sounds vindictive and may claim that you destroyed some things. I didn't even think about any of that. I'm just gonna stay out of my apartment until my mom shows up. Might have her escort my ex around to grab things. That picture thing is really smart, I'll do that. And the password's tough. Thank you for the solid advice. Now for the mini update. My mom showed up with donuts. We talked to the landlord and he got a good laugh. I didn't tell him everything, just that I had a bad breakup and trusted the wrong person. Told me it happens often. He also flirted with my mom. Good on her, nearly 50 and still getting hit on. My ex is coming by to grab her belongings, and I am giving her the shoe money rounded up. She agreed to give me the collection money. I hope this is the end of it. I really don't think I want to handle anything legal. I'll miss my collection. Guess at the end of the day, I am too lazy to bother. Great advice from everyone though. Thank you. I'm going to be much more careful with my keys and dating life. Last story. Am I the a-hole for having my dad's wife's number blocked so she can't call or text me? I, 19 female, live with my grandparents about 20 minutes from my dad's 39 male house. He lives there with his wife of 18 months, Nessa, 37 female. I met Nessa when I was 16, and the two of us did not get along. My dad tried to make things work between us, but she's not somebody I would ever like, and I will always annoy her by not being into the stuff she's into because she thinks I do like them, and just refuse to spend time with her doing this stuff. We lived together for a few months, but I knew they were getting married and she was sticking around, and I knew I would not tolerate living with her for long. So I decided to move into my grandparents' house when I turned 18. It made my dad sad, but I told him we could still have a relationship. I just wouldn't live there anymore. After I moved out, I blocked Nessa's number. I don't want to hear from her, talk to her, or text her. A few weeks ago, my dad called to tell me Nessa was in the hospital and she had a pretty bad miscarriage. By the time I got there, to be with him, not her, Nessa was taken into surgery, and they had to perform a hysterectomy. When she came to, she was distraught and freaked out on Dad, because it was only when she was miscarrying that she realized I had blocked her. She had been trying to call me. Dad was in a meeting and didn't have his phone, so for 2 hours she was in distress and tried me, but I didn't answer. My dad asked me if I had her blocked, or just didn't answer. I said I blocked her when I moved out. He was sad about it, but he seemed to move on. Nessa called me all kinds of names, and she's demanding I unblock her and make it up to her because it's my fault everything happened, and now she can never have kids. I refuse to do this, and she's constantly mad at my dad because she can't tell me how pissed she is, because she's blocked. Am I the a-hole? And, according to her, you were her only option. Why? Not even 911 or ambulances? She said she panicked, and when she couldn't get through to Dad, she could only think of calling me, and then I wasn't answering, but she knew I couldn't be busy, so she kept trying. So for 2 hours she remained in distress while trying to contact you, but didn't call 911? Good that you are keeping her blocked. Not the a-hole. Sounds like she was already having a miscarriage before she realized you blocked her. Regardless, none of it is your fault. Shame on her for trying to put any blame on you. Sounds like she had some complication with a miscarriage. That's no one's fault. Life can be crappy that way. But situations like this make me wonder if the universe does this on purpose to specific people because they do not deserve to have kids. Yes, she was already mid-miscarriage and was trying to call me because she couldn't get through to Dad. And she said she panicked and couldn't think straight, so she just kept trying me because she knew I couldn't be busy. Are you experienced in dealing with miscarriages? What could you have done other than call an ambulance? Which she could have done herself. Or she could have called your father's office and asked to interrupt his meeting. Doesn't she have family? Neighbors? Not the a-hole. Stick to your boundaries. Your dad's wife could have called emergency services, one of her family members, or her friends when she failed to reach your dad. Common sense would suggest you call emergency services first so they can get you to a hospital as soon as possible. Nessa's pregnancy would have been categorized as a high-risk pregnancy. She is over 35, and from what you wrote, I am guessing this could have been her first pregnancy as well. Your dad should have made sure he was contactable at all times. Nessa is toxic. She wants to blame you for her miscarriage and hysterectomy. She was, and still is, fixated on the idea of mothering you. Her fixation was such that when you did not respond to any of her calls or messages for a year, it did not occur to her that she was blocked. Now that she finds herself unable to have children, her fixation on you will increase. She needs professional help, which is well above all our pay grades. Maintain no contact with Nessa, and you may want to keep your dad on an information diet to ensure Nessa does not harass you.